we are. Welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We are your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is September 27th, 2017. This is our second live show for the day. We went live earlier and we covered the NFL kneeling thing, but we also gave some answers, dude. Put these people on like urban farms, they'll be fine. But right now, I am very excited. It's like really, really excited. I've been waiting since yesterday to cover this. Actually, for 2 days we've been wanting to cover this.
It's one of those stories that crept up on everybody and then exploded right in our faces.
Yes. Ray Moore is not a swamp creature. I think we can say that on very good authority. And he has won the preliminary Senate race in Alabama. But Alabama is not the kind of state that's just going to magically go Democrat. So when the election happens in what, December? You can rest assured that this guy's going to...
I really hope. Donald Trump was given really bad advice by Jared Kushner, who just needs to leave. By the way, a funny little thing about Jared Kushner.
About that guy.
They have found his voter registration and he has marked it woman. Jared Kushner. So he's being made fun of right now because obviously he marked the wrong gender.
But hang on though, because like wait, scroll back down. I can't. You're not going to let me. But I mean, look at that face. It's very feminine.
Could be, girl.
Could be. Just saying. I'm just saying. Like that is a very move your head out of the way. That is slightly feminine features.
So anyways, Jared's been given some bad advice. It was his advice, and it was actually, I have to say, the reason we're saying that the swamp is being drained was because Mitch McConnell and the swamp creatures gave to
He's a pretty man. Thank you, Otto. Sorry, I can't. I needed that.
One more look.
That's a good belly laugh.
One more look. It's like he's a Twilight character and he's never been in the sun.
Yeah, a little bit.
I bet he's a vampire.
Oh my gosh. Man,
okay, so anyways, yeah. So the Mitch McConnell's swamp creatureisms gave $30 million to Luther Strange, and Luther Strange, I guess, had backed and supported Donald Trump, and so Donald Trump was kind of strong-armed to going down, and one of the best parts of his speech when he was there to support Luther Strange was he said in the middle of the speech, I might be on the wrong side of this. I couldn't go to Breitbart without seeing literally 10 articles promoting Ray Moore. This was a definite push by Breitbart.
Yes.
To get Ray Moore across the finish line. And I'm actually pretty excited about it because the man rode a horse with his wife to the polling station. He's a real man. He's a man of God. He's righteous. He was a judge. Tell him about the 10 Commandments.
Okay, I will, but are you going to play the Nigel clip?
I didn't have it up.
Okay, well, if you're not going to play it, then I'll tell you what Nigel said, if we're not going to bring him up. I bring my best Nigel.
I
says, I had just come inside from mowing the lawn, and I just sat down, and all of a sudden I get a telephone call from Steve Bannon, and he asks me if I wouldn't mind coming on a plane tomorrow, and this was on Saturday, to support a candidate. I don't know. Okay. Let him do it. No. Let Nigel take it, because I can't. No. He does it himself way better than I can.
Do you know, it was Saturday just gone. It was 6 p.m. at home. I'd cut the grass. I was thinking about having a drink, and the phone rings. It's Steve Bannon. He says, could you come to Alabama tomorrow?
I love it.
Because we'd like you to put your voice behind a true, genuine conservative in the shape of Judge Roy Moore.
Listen to this.
And I had to think about it. Do you know, it took me a whole 10 seconds to decide to drop everything and come here to be with you this evening.
Okay, so you don't have to play the entire speech from Farage. You guys can go and find that on Orion Prime. It was really good. It was like 10 minutes long. It might have been longer, but this clip.
Wait. I just have to tell you, for some reason I'm brought to tears in my eyes. And maybe I'm just a little emotional about this because I see a cool club coming.
I know.
It's like the Goonies or something.
But better, because they swore a lot.
But they do too. But like you have this like these. I don't even want to call it grassroots. I just want to call it
same
liberty people.
Yeah.
Liberty-minded people. You've got Steve Bannon and Farage and Alex Jones. We love Alex Jones, you guys, and all these then the sub-tier people: Steven Crowder, Milo, Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, and you have all these different people, and they're like. And we're all very independent, staunchly independent, but for most of the time, like 99% of the time, somehow we all end up on the same page. And that is what a democracy and a republic is about.
Right.
On the left, and if I have some liberals with me, you have to understand that the left, the DNC, you get one line.
Right.
And you got to toe that line.
Yep.
And if you don't, you end up like the Bernie Sanders people crying on the side and still getting kicked and being told to come back into the fold. And then they kick you again and back into the fold. Michelle Obama just said that
Why does she have to have my name?
Any woman
We just call her like Mrs. Obama.
who voted for Hillary
Obama lady.
shut down their own voice. How could any woman not vote for Hillary? And that's a dig at a quarter of the people out there who voted for third parties, who voted for Johnson or Bernie Sanders or Jill Stein.
Right.
She just stomped on your head, but at the same time, she's letting you know you're welcome back into the Democratic fold. If you repent of not voting for Hillary Clinton, then you guys can come back. Now,
hang on. So you had wanted me to get to the 10 Commandments thing.
Yeah, I'm getting to this. Go ahead. Talk about it.
So here's the thing. For those of you that are not aware, I honestly didn't know much about Judge Roy Moore. I think it was Justin Hughes who had actually, worth a look, sent me this clip of Farage, and he says, Farage is at this rally in Alabama for this guy. Is he a good guy? And I'm like, I don't know anything about him. Let me do some research. So I did.
They call him the 10 Commandments, Judge Roy.
Because one of the things that made him incredibly well known was when he became a judge, he brought the 10 Commandments with him and put it behind his bench. And it was fine for a while. And then, of course, I think there was a homosexual type hearing that he was going through. And obviously it didn't land in that person's favor. And so then, of course, they complained. Right. And it went back and forth and back and forth. And finally, it was kind of dismissed. And nothing ever really came of it. And then it kind of was brought back to the light again. But another thing... And so he fought.
Right.
Tooth and nail. Like, he wasn't going to give up. He was willing to lose his job over not taking down the 10 Commandments. I think at one point he was actually instructed to take it down, and he disobeyed that, and they literally just let it go. But another really cool thing about this guy is that he would also open up every session with prayer. And he would pray that God would give the jurors, wisdom to rightfully handle a case. And I love that.
Isn't this so awful, just standing by the 10 Commandments?
He also had pushed to have a statue, not a statue, but a kind of a monument for the 10 Commandments put in, I think, a public place. But this guy really has...
FYI, the 10 Commandments are in our Supreme Court. So if our 10 Commandments are in the Supreme Court vestibule...
but in order to have them taken down, they would have to be etched out of, the walls. It's not just in our Supreme Court, but it is throughout.
It's on the doors.
Yeah, it is throughout. I think it's in the session hall where they actually, where the Senate houses, the Senate and the Congress meet.
We have a history of the 10 Commandments.
Exactly. So this is part of who we are in America, so there's no reason why it shouldn't be allowed. But this guy went to bat, put his very career on the line for his religious beliefs, but not just his own religious beliefs, but his religious beliefs that these laws, which are the 10 Commandments, are the foundation of being a judge.
Yeah,
right?
Right.
And so that is one one of the reasons why Resistance Chicks is getting behind this guy. I love that Steve Bannon is able to call up Nigel Farage and say, can you come tomorrow to Alabama? And Farage says, righto, good chap, I'll be right there. You know,
Sarah Palin was there. They brought in all kinds of things. And what I want to point out to people. Here, look at this though. There's a picture, and I don't think I have it up, of Steve Bannon. He read this text with the giddy little schoolboy face. This is Donald J. Trump. Spoke to Roy Moore of Alabama last night for the first time. Sounds like a really great guy who won a fantastic race. He will help to make America great again.
I love it.
Could sum it up. We could just stop right here.
No, because I want you to give the punchline of just what Steve Bannon is doing. I'm envisioning a war room, right? In Steve Bannon's office. Because he is going, I told you I wanted to
He told us
I
this
want
in
to
the
tell him.
beginning.
Can I tell him?
Go ahead.
I want to tell him. He has a mission. He left the White House because he realized there was nothing that he could do. He was too crazy. And listen, we still have to drain that swamp that is in Trump's cabinet and his surrounding people. But he realized that if he went out, he could do a lot more. And his goal, his mission, is to literally systematically go after every single Senate seat and Congress seat and replace the rhino swamp creatures with real American people that will make America great again, that are not swamp creatures.
What they need, though, is what the reason swamp creatures get in is because Mitch McConnell comes in, they pick a person, and then they back you because you need ads, you need banners, you need...
McConnell had how much money for his campaign?
$30 million.
Well, it was not McConnell, but the other guy. What's his weird name?
McConnell had $30 million for Strange.
Strange, yes. Strange name. See, I should have said weird, strange name.
And Roy had $2 million.
$2 million, $2 to $3 million dollars for their campaign. Mitch McConnell funds the Strange Man.
Less than 10%.
With $30 million. Dude still loses. Alabamans, kudos to you.
And you know what?
Well
the Alabamans were out there with signs that say, Donald Trump, I support you, I love you, but I got to go with Ray Moore.
I know.
And I want you to hear his speech because it's going to be awesome. But Breitbart is really excited because there's a senator, his name is Bob Corker. He's a swamp creature, and he's decided he's not going to run again. And there is a grassroots person getting ready to run and take his seat. So,
and I believe, putting a prediction out there, that with Bannon behind this, it's going to push through.
I think so. And I think that Breitbart has become a pretty honest way to get propaganda out there.
Good propaganda.
And for us all to get behind a candidate who we feel is good. And I was part of it on Twitter. It was fun. When we were pushing against Strange and pushing for Ray Moore, I didn't know much about it, but I just felt right about it.
So this is from 2 days ago.
This is Steve Bannon.
Before he actually won. Because he won yesterday.
No, he won. He won
yesterday.
He won Tuesday. And what? He won Tuesday. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so just yesterday. So this was a day before that.
He did one interview that I've seen my entire life of you, although you've been on the program before. Good to see you, and you're joining us from Alabama tonight. We'll get to football in a minute.
Where did he go?
Hey guys, I'm Carly
Commercial?
Fox, and I just created my own
Are you
website
kidding
with
me?
links.
Go to
A minute-long commercial.
I didn't have a minute-long commercial when I had it before.
Well, dang it.
Well, that's okay. We'll get through the commercial.
Otto says we don't need to drain the swamp. We need to flood the swamp with diesel and burn it out.
So I wanted you to hear a little bit what Dr. Sebastian Gorka, he said here. Ray Moore's victory in Alabama primary is a revolutionary moment in American politics. It's the first battle in a war that's going to reform politics. I know you like the word nationalism, but I'm not even satisfied with the more gentle word populism. For me, it's a reassertion of sovereignty and a reassertion of democracy where the wishes of people are actually expressed in a way that the money and the influence of the establishment totally fails. And that's a revolutionary moment in politics. Bannon asked how tough the war to reform politics was likely to become, and Gorka responded by quoting a comment. Bannon said, if you think that the swamp is going to give back our nation without a fight, you're sorely mistaken. After a month in the White House, I need the listeners to understand that this isn't just about the lobbyists. It's not just about the people on Capitol Hill. The swamp, I don't like the phrase deep state. I like the phrase the permanent state, is also largely about the bureaucrats who just think they know better than anybody else. And then he goes on to say, I saw this in my time working with colleagues at the NSC and elsewhere across government. When you've got somebody who's a GS-14 who thinks, nope, I've been here for 20 years, I'm going to be here after the president leaves, and I know better, and I'm just going to do my own thing, that's what we all have to fight. So let's see if my commercial's over here. We can get to, we're going to get to Katie Hopkins later. Excited about that. All right.
It's very clear to me.
Over.
That's where you got Laura Ingraham and Levin and Dr.
Rally, you were at another for Roy Moore. Tell us why.
I'm here to support President Donald J. Trump. What I'm here to do is to support Donald J. Trump by having folks down here support Judge Roy Moore. I think Roy Moore is the guy to represent Donald Trump and fight the establishment. I mean, it's very simple. This election is $30 million being spent by Mitch McConnell and that crew of corrupt and incompetent politicians and consultants. They've raised $30 million of outside money to destroy Judge Moore. Judge Moore's raised about $2 million. So, Sean, it's very clear to me. That's where you got Laura Ingraham and Levin and Dr. Savage and Dr. Savage and you know, Mark Meadows, everybody
and
that have been hardcore Trump supporters, and Sean Hannity, hardcore Trump supporters that have thrown down with Judge Moore. So I'm very proud to be down here. This is the first time I've really ever done a campaign event. I got the old bomber jacket on, the complete rig I used to wear during the campaign with President Trump. And I said tonight, you know, Sarah Palin, Louis Gohmert, all of us, the hardcore Trump people, we're not here to defy President Trump. We were here to praise and honor him. And we think the best way to do that is to send somebody to Washington, D.C. out of Alabama, the good folks of Alabama, to send somebody that's going to have Donald Trump's back.
I believe Roy Moore is going to be more the outsider. And the fact that Mitch McConnell and the establishment are pouring millions of dollars into this race.
It's going to be really easy for us. Who does this swamp support? Right, go for the other guy or gal.
To that state tells me that Luther Strange is going to end up being, in some ways, having to support them and more inclined to support them. And frankly, I think the biggest disappointment in D.C., you actually said it in an interview, I think to a certain extent Mitch McConnell does not support the president's agenda, economic agenda, and it's obvious. He hasn't gotten a thing done, Steve, in 8...
I know that everybody on the left is pointing to Trump not getting anything done, but the reason he hasn't getting anything done that you would like to see done, Obamacare should have been repealed by now, the wall should be under construction, there should be tax reform, there should be the ban, travel ban, not a Muslim ban, and all these things, they were ready. Steve Bannon was ready. They were going to they hit the ground running, but they ran low on people who could support the president. The president isn't supported by anybody who supports Make America Great Again, because those kind of people do not end up in positions of power, because positions of power are bought and sold and traded for favors. And I'm going to get to something funny about Washington, D.C. in a little bit later, so stick with me because I think you're going to giggle as much as I did.
We're now in the 9th month of the Trump presidency. There's no excuse for that, in my opinion.
It's very simple. You know, Strange can't sit there and say, I'm going to stand up to Mitch McConnell. I'm going to Washington to stand up to him. Mitch McConnell's giving him $30 million. $30 million not to come down here to Alabama and debate the issues. They're not debating illegal immigration or the trade deals or anything like that. What this was about was the politics of personal destruction. The exact same game plan that they ran on Donald Trump. This is not debate. This is not about doing everything about a debate. This is about trying to destroy Roy Moore, just like they tried to destroy Donald J. Trump.
You know, in many ways, I think the Destroy Trump media will misinterpret the list of people that you mentioned, including myself. I want Roy Moore to win this race tomorrow, and they'll try and create...
Okay, I'm just going to stop that. I'm going to stop it here because I can't go through another ad. But I'll let you know the other key points I wanted you to hear Bannon say was that Roy Moore was a righteous man. He kept saying that over and over again. And the ads, they were smear ads. What he said later in the interview was that Democrats could just take those ads and run them against Moore because they were such smear ads. And the fact that the Washington D.C. was actually hitting Ray Moore on topics that you and I agree with him on. It shows a lot. So, without further ado, Ray Moore, and I think that you're going to love him as much as the rest of us do, just by hearing this speech.
This was his acceptance speech.
Yeah. Remember the guy that we told you about, the reporter who swore at a bunch of people behind the scenes? Mm-hmm. Well, he was covering this speech, and he said he's talking about God too much. Let's just cut it.
Wow.
He's done more for my campaign than...
Sorry, I'm going to set this up. He just went through like a minute and a half thanking everybody. A lot of black people up there, very interesting. His top security is a black guy. The preacher he had preaching was a black guy.
And it proves that the division is completely made up.
The division is completely made up. This is a totally integrated campaign, and he's going to thank the most important person in the campaign.
Anybody. And that's Almighty God.
Amen!
I want everybody to understand that when I talk about God in this campaign, I've never prayed to win this campaign.
I love this part.
This is so cool, you guys.
I've only prayed that God's will be done. Because I think you can sometimes win on your own, and it's not a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you can lose, and it's the best thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the best thing we can do is put it in the hands of the Almighty.
Yes!
And as Saran was saying, there's nothing too great for God. For one day, every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain or hill shall be made low, and the crooked shall be made straight, and the rough places plain. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together.
Yes!
For the mouth of the Lord has spoken it. The voice said, cry, and he said, what shall I cry? All flesh is grass, and all the goodness thereof is the flower of the field. The grass withereth, the flower fadeth, because the Spirit of the Lord bloweth upon it. Surely the people is grass. The grass withereth, the flower fadeth, but the word of our God shall stand forever.
Forever!
You know, we're put here on earth for a short time. And for that short time, our duty is to serve Almighty God and to acknowledge Him in all things.
All things.
I've just been talking. I've talked to the governor who's congratulated me, Governor Ivey. I've talked to Mr. Strange, who has recognized that I've won and that he would work with me. I've talked to Senator Lee, Senator Paul, Rand Paul, and Senator Cruz.
He's talking to all the good guys.
And various others that are important in our government. Together we can make America great. We can support the president. Don't let anybody in the press think that because he supported my opponent that I do not support him and support his agenda.
Just to let you know, you guys, he's going to be, this is in December, he'll be in.
He's going to be
before
in
the
there.
next elections.
Yeah.
As
Well, way
long
before that. It's just going to be in
I know.
as it's constitutional, as long as it advances our society, our culture, our country, I will be supportive. As long as it's constitutional. But we have to return the knowledge of God and the Constitution of the United States to the United States Congress.
Yes, we do.
Yes. I believe we can make America great, but we must make America good, and you cannot make America good without acknowledging the sovereign source of that goodness.
God.
The sovereign source of our law, liberty, and government.
Yes.
Which is Almighty God.
Yes, it
we
is.
have become a nation that has distanced ourselves from the very foundation. Washington said that of all the dispositions and habits which lead to political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable supports.
Indispensable support.
We've got to recognize that we've been separated by something that separation of church and state doesn't stand for. It doesn't separate us from God. Nothing can separate us from God. We are one nation under God, and we can become one nation unified. There's so much division in our society. Protest.
No,
No,
it's time.
wait,
Hang on a minute.
what he talks about, I want to point that out. He said our nation is divided. The left is constantly getting out knives and trying to do surgery on people with butcher
Stop it.
knives and saying that our country's divided and like it's like they're playing Operation Buzz, 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 and they're just buzzing. And Christians and conservatives are like, hey, you know what? There are some divisive people. Let's ignore them.
Divisive.
And they're going to go to the side, and let's come together. Everybody who wants to come together. Black, white, Jew, Gentile, everybody.
Black and white and wax.
Demonstrations, mobs, racial strife. But we're all created in the image of God. I recall what...
See, I have to stop this here because he says we're all created in the image of God.
It don't matter what color you are.
And, like, you have the Democrats screaming at people, we're all the same! And, like, conservatives are like, we're all created in the image of God. We're all created in the image of God. The cool thing about being a Christian, the cool thing about being a creationist, is we truly believe that we all descended from Adam and Eve. The hard thing about being an evolutionist is that Darwin and that whole movement in the 1800s showed, and the Democrats ran on a platform of evolution, saying that the Negro person was descended from apes. We believe we're all descended from God, and the evolutionists and the leftists still can't shake off the Darwinian evolutionary thing because in the back of their mind, the reason they believe there is such a thing as white privilege is because
here it comes
of Darwin saying that the white man is superior to everyone else. They are the final evolutionary thing. Okay? And so it's in the back of every evolutionist person. If you believe in evolution, just recognize that you know, if you hear that word white supremacy, a lot of the leftists with the evolutionists.
If you believe in evolution, y'all need to go listen to Carl H. Baugh's Creation Symphony on YouTube.
Yeah. Where's that?
All right, back to Roy.
In his inaugural address, the American people stand firm in the faith which has inspired this nation from the beginning. We believe that all people are created in the image of God, and from that faith we will not be moved. We've been moved, but we can move back.
They call us racist. They call us xenophobic, but we truly believe that everyone is created in the image of God.
Right.
God can still bring us back.
Yes, he can. Yes, he will.
People need hope like this.
Yes, they do. I don't even care that it's buzzy. They're making it buzzier.
The Constitution has been my life. I was sworn many, many years ago to the United States Constitution on the banks of the Hudson River as a cadet at the United States Military Academy. I fought in a war to defend that Constitution. I fought in the courts against liberal judges that have usurped their authority of that Constitution. And I'll fight for you at the United States Senate. I'll fight for the people of this state and of this nation who want to bring our country back to its greatness. And we can, and we will.
Yes.
And thank you very much for your support.
Look at that. Genuine smile.
This is a time for victory. It's time to remember the struggles we've gone through. But it's also time to rededicate our lives to God and to the Constitution and to our country, to our families. Let's go again and make America great. Thank you. May God bless you in the state of Illinois. Thank you.
Thank you. He said it is time to rededicate our lives to God, to the Constitution, to our country, and to our families. Yes!
It really doesn't get any better than that.
No!
I should stop there, and I really should not.
You just sign off. See y'all. That's it.
I should not share this article with you after that. I really shouldn't, but I'm going to.
No, nothing depressing.
It's funny. It's gross. No. Washington, D.C. dominates.
On topic.
Washington, D.C. dominates new STD per capita rankings from the CDC. Washington, D.C. dominates the new STD per capita rankings from the CDC.
I know how you get those.
That's what.
And that's nasty.
So we really need to drain the swamp.
Washington.
We really have to drain it.
That's icky.
I know. So, the Center for Disease Control just released their latest study on sexually transmitted diseases and provided yet another reason why Congress has a lower approval rating than that last paper that you got, or that you could have sworn nearly sliced your finger off. As the charts below illustrate, the miscreants who run our federal government in between their extramarital affairs, of course, apparently helped Washington, D.C. to dominate the CDC's state-by-state rankings for STDs in 2016. With respects to the chlamydia outbreaks, for example, I can't say
Why are you reading this stuff?
Washington, D.C.'s reported cases exceeded the national average by 118%.
118%? What is happening there?
The next closest was the state of Alaska by 40%. In
happening in
2016,
Alaska?
a total...
This is what happens when it gets cold and you get lonely, man. Don't move to Alaska.
So there were several. There were lots of cases of chlamydia.
Don't say that word.
So this case count responds to a rate of 497.3 cases per 100,000 population, and then it's an increase. But I want you to see a little over here, Washington D.C.
It's itty bitty. It's just not even on the map. You can't. It's too little.
So yeah, they're dark blue with 1,083 cases. Maryland and Delaware and New Jersey and Connecticut and Rhode Island and Maine and New Hampshire, Vermont. I just have to tell you that that's really sad that the elitists on the coast there are so sexually transmitting disease carriers. I mean, seriously. Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, and D.C. Are you kidding me? What is going on over there? I'm never moving to the East Coast.
No, don't just say I'm never moving there. Just make sure you don't ever pick a spouse
There is one
from
way.
there.
No, you can get tested.
Oh.
I don't think that they're picking them up from spouses, honestly.
But if you pick up your spouse from there, you get... Oh, man.
So I could go on. The gonorrhea cases for Washington, D.C. were 480. The next, Delaware was 180. So that exceeded. And then obviously D.C. tops the cases of syphilis. And so
dang it.
Beyond the health and in fact, you know, they cost nearly $16 billion annually. Imagine what we could do with $16 billion.
Yeah,
because this is something that
your junk,
this is something that is completely preventable. Completely preventable.
No, it's not, because if you listen to the propaganda in public schools today, people are animals and they have absolutely no way to control themselves.
Yeah. So about that, obviously you can't. They can't in
All right,
Washington,
now
D.C.
hang on though, because I just asked you before you started that article. I said, "Is this on topic?" And
Washington, D.C. We need to drain the swamp. Obviously, there's health impacts to these people there, and they, you know, they're spreading diseases probably amongst themselves, and you know they.
You think those numbers, that thousands, it was like 1,000 people. You think they're all in? It's the government.
They're all in Washington, D.C. You know, it's really expensive to live in Washington, D.C. Everybody in D.C. is part of the government of some in some capacity. So there's a lot going on there, and it's probably really
so those lobbyists aren't just throwing around money to get what they want.
No, they're doing a lot of things, and we drove through Fort Knox, and I was repulsed to see just how many XXX and strip bars there were. Because it just seems like the government and...
I'm going back to the Comstock laws. Like, we are making porn illegal again.
Please do. Please do. Jesus, in Jesus' name.
Oh, okay.
More will.
Yeah. Dude, that is a righteous man. Are you going to play any of the other speeches from...
I didn't have
okay,
them.
that's fine.
Okay, so I think we're moving on.
We have to move on from Roy Moore.
I know.
That's like a happy topic.
I know, we should have ended there, but moving on.
Are we back online? We were offline for a second.
During the chlamydia outbreak.
Oh, don't say that word again. It's like a cuss word.
Does anyone have any comments on anything we said so far? How about we go to some comments?
All right, back to the comments. Let's see. Politicians are filthy. How many child kidnappings in D.C.?
Yes.
Congressman Barney Frank's boyfriend ran a gay escort service from their house.
You know what? I'm guessing a lot of these probably have to do with the homosexuality too. They unfortunately, this is unpolitically correct, but homosexuals have more partners and they spread more diseases.
It's very true. Worth a Look says, "Ha, want a sexually transmitted disease? There is a map to go and catch one." Let's see. Comet Ping Pong Pizza is ground zero for STDs for liberals. Michael Thomas says they should make an app for that. Washington, D.C. has a lot of ghettos also on the outer edges. That one is from Amber. Let's see.
Could you imagine politicians showing up at the emergency room?
Pretty sure John McCain has spread some STDs to Lindsey Graham. Sorry, couldn't pass that one. All right. Moving on. Now you can go to Zuckerberg.
Okay, so we all know. How many of you saw, like, the Zuckerberg actually came out with this special, like, video, like, we're Russia. They bought $100,000 worth of ads, 3,000 ads that, you know, we want the Congress to know. And Trump actually tweeted out to Zuckerberg, and Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg has responded to the Trump's tweet from earlier this week, this morning, which suggested that Facebook, among other media outlets, were always anti-Trump from the beginning. In his response, Zuckerberg finally managed to interject some logic into the left's latest and most entertaining Russian collusion narrative, which continues to allege that $100,000, I told you that, after acknowledging that he has recently found himself in the uncomfortable position of coming under attack by both the left and the right for helping the other side, Zuckerberg pointed out, as have we on Zero Hedge on numerous occasions, that campaigns have spent hundreds of millions of advertising online, which was 1,000 times more than any problematic ads that they found. So basically, what they're saying is the Russian ads were nothing. Trump says that Facebook is against him. Liberals say we help Trump. Both sides are upset about ideas and content they don't like. That's what running a platform for all ideas looks like. Campaigns spent hundreds of millions on advertising online to get their message out even further. That's 1,000 times more than any problematic ads we found. Now, Michelle and I were walking dogs today, and you made a really interesting point. We were talking about RT. We were talking about, I actually like watching RT, or Russian Today in America. I like a show called Crosstalk. I was watching it. No, I couldn't turn on the television and see any mainstream media talking about the WikiLeaks,
right,
talking about Hillary Clinton, talking about Clinton Cash, talking about Bill Clinton. These are things that I already knew, and I wanted to hear other people talking about them.
Right.
And RT talked about them.
And so the narrative is that it was so wrong that Russian TV somehow influenced the election. And I was talking to Leah, I said, well, why? Why does it matter if they influence election? An election, it's something that people can watch. There is propaganda that is put out on CNN to sway the election, on Fox News to sway the election, on every media outlet. Their intent is to sway the election.
Can we go against CNN? Can we go against MSNBC? They were in the back, and she just turned it around and said the media didn't help her enough. Now, I say that they went into war against America because they didn't talk about the WikiLeaks. They didn't talk about Hillary Clinton's, misdeeds.
So Leah had mentioned, she said, well, the difference is RT is a government-run television. And I said, well, so is the BBC. And nobody's going after the BBC, complaining that they swayed the election. Okay, and so there really is an agenda that they are pushing.
Raise your hand if you're in Britain, and the BBC pushed Hillary Clinton and dogged Trump. Why aren't we at war with Britain? Why aren't there sanctions against the entire EU? Why aren't there sanctions against everybody who supported Clinton?
Right. Any media outlet that
and why isn't there a call for British sanctions against Obama for coming over to Britain, saying you shouldn't vote for Brexit?
Right.
So countries get involved in other countries' elections all the time. We are fighting a war in Syria. People are talking about things in Venezuela. We're in Iraq. We are all over the world. And to say that the United States... So we're taking a different take.
What kind of take did Al Jazeera take?
I can't even think.
I mean, isn't that a government-run media outlet?
I don't know. This Arab television, I don't know who runs Al Jazeera.
I'm gonna guess that it's a government. I've always been under the impression, somebody else can correct me, that it is a government-run. What if they were influencing the election?
Al Jazeera makes my stomach.
Somebody had said that the BBC is the equivalent of CNN. You're right as far as their agenda and what they're pushing, but it is different. The CNN, actually, it is owned by the government, but they don't talk about that. It's owned by the deep state, right?
NPR, we have National Public Radio that is funded by our government.
You're right, but usually the NPR is sort
No,
of...
it's completely left. It's so liberal. It was completely anti-Trump.
No, you're right. I'm thinking of the other public radio that we have, our local public radio.
Yeah.
Our local public radio is completely, actually, they're kind of leaning to the other direction.
Right.
But you're right, NPR itself is very awful.
Right.
So my point is that the difference between the BBC and CNN is that the BBC is a government arm. It's a government media outlet.
And this is another reason why we should go to war with Britain. Listen to this.
The young people that follow and the young people that email me to say...
Sorry, this is Katie Hopkins. I listened to this interview. I really liked it, and I want to pull out a couple of spots. And it reminded me of this because Katie Hopkins goes to tell that... well, let me just let her tell it.
You know, I can't say what you say. I can't even... I'm not allowed to think the things you think, but I love that you do it. I love that you do it. I'm holding on to you because they're in schools and colleges where they're being brainwashed just as you are here with your campuses, and they can no longer say any of the things that they would want to say. You know, I have stories from kids that were in politics class that said... I'm thinking of a caller to my radio show, a mother that her son said that he supported Trump, and eventually he was bullied out of that politics class even, and told by the lecturer that he should have less radical thoughts. You know, I know a primary school that handed out Clinton mints in the playground the night before in Britain. You know, the night before, literally handed out mints with Clinton on so that the kids would know Clinton was the right answer. You know, we have kids at age 4 and 5 who had to raise their hands if their parents voted for Brexit, and they were made to feel silly and went home and said, oh, you know, we were made to feel silly in class because you were the ones that voted Brexit. So, and after Trump got in, our school children were sent home and told in primary schools, you'll go home tonight and your parents will be crying and your parents will be very upset because the wrong person won. And in this school we don't support hate, and they're allowed to teach that. And that is a very curious thing, because whilst we're trying to embrace this kind of idea of multiculturalism and, you know, we're all equal and it's great that we have Muslims in our classes, that therefore means if Trump comes up with something labelled a Muslim ban, Trump equals hate, and the school takes that as permission to teach an entire generation of young people Trump equals hate.
Shouldn't we go to war with Britain?
I'm going to war with you people. Every last one of you. Actually, I don't think very many of you are awake, just worth a look. It's very late there. But here's the thing. To me, it doesn't matter. If you're a government propaganda machine, whatever, people can say whatever they want to say, and they can push out. That is your right. It is the right of the press. Here in America, we have the First Amendment, and guess what? In my opinion, I think that also covers anything that we have coming into our country, media-wise. We have a right to take in whatever is being broadcast out there if we choose to take it in. So not only do we have a freedom of speech, but we have a freedom to hear whatever opinion we would like to hear. Censorship is not okay, unless it's porn. We're censoring that all day long.
And one of the interesting things as well, it's always for positions where no qualifications are required either. So it's literally a free job for you. The only thing you cannot be is white, and that is to most positions for the BBC, and it's linked intrinsically through the establishment so that they're getting more representation of the sorts of faces they want.
What do you make of the intentions of these people? So I'm with you. I hear you. Obviously, most of my audience hears you. They get it. They've been trying to fight this leftism. You know, I told you before. And, you know, I mean, I used to be a lefty, and now I realize that liberalism, in the way that I view it, has nothing to do with being on the left. But I try not to impugn everyone's motives.
On the road to Damascus, you had a Saul-like moment, and you saw the light.
Yeah, exactly. So, although I don't know that I'd be welcome in Damascus, but we'll see. But point is that I try not to impugn everyone's motives. What do you think of the motives of these people when they sit there in that boardroom at this company and they're doing all this? You think this is just misguided craziness, or are there people that truly are trying?
I'm not sure if I'm going to find it again, so I don't want to go through this video, but I thought this was the part where she said that she got an email from a police officer. So I don't know. You guys can listen to it. It's a really good interview. that a police officer in England that said that the Muslims in their community got to pick the 2 police officers that paroled their beat, their area.
Wow.
And she asked for permission to print it out, tweet it out anonymously, and he gave her permission. So she was able to tweet that out, that you have this really corrupt police station that the Muslims can pick the police officers that they want. So this was a really cool interview that I really liked. I actually, what's incredibly interesting is that I say this all the time. You have Katie Hopkins, who foul-mouthed, has a very dirty past.
Sorted,
dirty. And here she is. I think she's come a long way. She still says some things that are, what? But at the same time, she's one of those voices that is speaking out, like, for Christians. There's a hate crime thing that you can report, and you can be a Buddhist, you can be a Muslim, a Hindu, but Christianity isn't on this little hate crime call-in list.
Wow.
So it's like, and the way she put it, I really like the way she put it. She said that there's a hierarchy amongst, what do you call it, SJW things, identity politics. And the left, he asked Katie Hopkins, why does the left align itself with Islam when obviously Islam is anti-feminist?
Right.
And she said that there's a hierarchy, and the top of the hierarchy is this multiculturalism, and then below that is like Black Lives Matter, and then below that's the LGBT, give or take a few, right? And so if you have like homosexuals, they get trumped by multiculturalism. Mm-hmm. So when you have gays being thrown off buildings, it doesn't matter.
Right. Because
the multiculturalism of it just being Muslim,
it's insanity.
That trumps it. That was a really interesting
if you can't find the rest of that, maybe now would be a good time to segue into the Saudi women and their now perspective.
I was going to do... You have to get a sheet, because I was going to do this in the car. Yeah, get a sheet. 2 sheets.
What am I, a slave?
Yeah. Well, see, I'm stuck here by this wire, and I'm afraid I have a wire on the left side
like
here.
A sheet? Like, why
yeah.
can't you use like a blanket?
I think a blanket might be a bit bulky to give a visual, a good visual. I tried the scarves.
I don't know if we have sheets outside of people's bedrooms.
There's one in there, isn't there? I wanted to give the best example.
You're getting the dog sheets.
Come on now. See, you know what? This is so weird.
These are the sheets that we put on the floor these are clean now, but when it's raining out to protect the carpet.
Now see, she's not fully, her eyes aren't covered. So this is cool. I'm just wondering, we wanted to do.
I'm going to do you.
Okay, so you have the women.
There she is, right there, that person right there.
So go ahead. My question is, right?
You're going to need more.
Oh, well, I should give them the punchline. Go ahead, come on in.
I'm just going to help get you all situated.
The Saudi women are now, we have a year to go, okay? A year to go, but the Saudi women have finally,
over the back of your head like Mary,
have finally been given,
and then around the
supposedly
forehead, around your forehead,
the right to drive, okay?
There you go.
Now, the problem I have with this is not that women are allowed to drive, and not that it's going to take, go ahead, not that it's going to take a year to implement. The problem I have with this,
yeah, it's perfect,
is that we are against texting and driving. Right. We're against anything that impedes your ability to operate your motor vehicle in a safe manner. Now, if Michelle would come outside, grab the keys and say, I'm ready to go, I would say, no, that's not safe.
Right.
Because you have your vision obstructed. Right. You can't see and you can't breathe. So what if it gets so hot, because it's hot there, right?
Yeah.
That you can't function and you can't operate the motor vehicle properly, okay? So,
You can asphyxiate yourself.
in Saudi Arabia, you don't just have a hijab on. It's like the full burqa, the niqab, or whatever. And some of them have to have something.
You should have things all the way down to
I know.
your wrist.
Some of them have a little piece of material that even covers right here. Now that makes it even worse. Because like, if you have a piece of material even right here, put your finger here. This is really messes with your vision, like totally. And I'm just saying that I don't believe that this is safe. I don't think it's safe. So I think what they said was we're going to allow women to drive.
But it has to be in accordance with Sharia law.
With Sharia law. Now
this is Sharia law.
This is Sharia law.
Right here.
Yeah, so there was one guy, Saudi Arabia was hit kind of hard because they're on the Human Rights Council. Now remember, this guy right here said that women already have half a brain. So obviously this is really, really not safe. And the reason they can't drive is because not only do we cover you up and you can't see, but not only do you have half a brain, but when you shop, that takes away the other quarter of your brain.
That's what he said.
Yeah, so you only have a quarter of your brain, so it's not safe for women to drive.
I don't think it's safe for women to drive if they only have a quarter of a brain. I agree with that.
Look at this. Paul Joseph Watson. Everybody celebrating Saudi Arabia allowing women to drive, unaware this is the vehicle they are mandated to use. So there are American women in my Twitter feed who think they are more oppressed than women in Saudi Arabia. I can't even.
Where's the 3 pounds of Syntec?
Women can drive in Saudi Arabia now. 7-year-old. What did they do before? Me. Only men could drive. 7. And they lived. That's really funny. Hold on to your premature celebration. Saudi Arabia has allowed women to drive, and how? Here's what y'all are missing in the news. Conditions for Sharia for women's leadership. The age of the driver shall not be less than 30 years. The consent of the driver's guardian to drive the car. Obtaining a driver's license from the Women's Leadership Learning Center. The driver should be dressed in a uniform and do not put any materials for decoration at all. Allowed to drive within the city only and is not allowed to drive outside without a mahram, whether village or suburbs. Driving sometimes are scheduled from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Saturdays. To Wednesdays and Thursday to Friday from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. So
you're gonna have to fix all that's going on right there, man.
Says, look at her. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not right.
Where did you find this? Wait, they're not gonna read it if you don't step.
Oh, activists have been trying to change this for years. This is a key woman in the figure. It was the only place where women would be jailed for driving. These women were jailed for driving. In June 2018. The change does not end the guardianship system, where women have to get permission from
a man to get a passport.
You know, my problem isn't the whole hijab thing, but I really can't breathe. I've put things over my face several times to see what it's like to be one of these women. The hijab is one thing.
Maybe they have like oxygen tubes.
It's cruelty to human beings to have your face muzzled. It's a muzzle. It's a muzzle is what it is.
That's why they're called Muslims.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So,
thank you.
Here are things they still can't do. They can't, they want to travel, get married, or have elective surgery. Can't get a surgery. Must have a blessing of their male guardian. Must follow the dress code. codes. I don't understand this. How do you go to a restaurant
and eat? What do you guys
have
eat?
you seen the women holding it up to try to eat spaghetti?
Nuh-uh.
It's nasty. This woman got, I don't know if she got arrested, but she posted a thing on Twitter and Facebook. They can't get a job or open a bank account. They can't associate with any men not related to them.
What we need to see now, the guardianship system to be removed. We want to be able to have full control of our life.
Yeah.
That's what we are waiting for now. And that's, I think it will happen.
Man, the black things with the things over their faces, I just can't.
I have come from Tabuk. This celebration gives us hope that in the future we could attend games, festivities, things that matter to us as Saudi people. We are very happy. You can't imagine how happy we are today.
Look
They
at the lady.
celebrated Women's Day for the
Wait.
first
Watch
day.
this guy. Watch this poor lady behind us. Look at this. This is like something out of a bad movie. This one right here. It's like a Star Wars character.
Meaning they're not allowed to attend even sporting events. A petition to end male guardianship has now been handed into the government. It's been signed by more than 14,000 Saudi women. The new driving rules are part of a program from Saudi's Crown Prince, intended to modernize the kingdom.
So there you have it.
Fantastic.
That's our reporting on the driving restriction being removed.
Here's the thing. These women are actually real feminists, and they are paving the way for real suffrage issues. And so I just wonder why our liberal women are not getting behind this and supporting this with everything that they have.
Women in Saudi Arabia are given the right to drive, making it easier to drive to their own stoning.
That's awful.
Hillary Clinton says, "It's about time, ladies, start your engines." Hillary Clinton.
And yet she completely supports, you know, all of the Muslim cultural Sharia law in
And she got tons of
our
money from
country.
Saudi Arabia.
Of course she did. We do too.
Okay, so
What's next on the docket?
let's see. Illegal immigrants cost America $135 billion.
Dang.
A sacred talking point on the left is illegal immigrants are just part of the American dream. They pay taxes and stuff just like you. While it's true they pay taxes because taxes aren't everything, pesky math. And we've been over this. Maybe we'll go over it again. Has revealed illegal immigrants are not the struggling little soldiers the DNC would have us believe. From the Washington Examiner, the swelling population of illegal immigrants and their kids is costing American taxpayers $135 billion a year. And I got to thinking, what if we sent $135 billion to Mexico and made Mexico great again?
If you're going to blow the money, why not blow
The
it on
highest
keeping
ever,
people there?
driven by free medical care. Because here's the thing, like you get free medical care here that like average Americans don't get. Education and a huge law enforcement bill, according to the most authoritative report. So when they tally it up, the federal cost is $45 million, state and local $88 million, national $134 million. Federal taxes paid $15 million, state and local taxes
That's
paid
$1 billion.
$3 billion, whatever. I'm
15
sorry.
billion.
You're right, billion. We're in the billions now.
It's just too big of a number. It doesn't
Total
register.
taxes paid $18 billion. So when you do the math, it goes down to about $116 billion. And then Crowder here has links to illegal immigrants, sexually assault 6-year-old, illegal immigrants raped 7-year-old multiple times, ICE arrest over 100 illegal immigrants in New York, including rapists, and it goes on and on and on. So I thought I would share that with you.
Wow.
And then lastly, this is kind of a deep, because it's kind of not, maybe people might not be as interested in this, but it's really important. the Kurds voted to separate into like a Kurdistan out in Iraq, to separate in Iraq, to have their own space in Iraq. Iraq doesn't like this at all. Iraq demands control of the Kurdish airport's oil reserves following the independence vote. Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi announced Tuesday via Twitter, because that's how leaders communicate now, it's Twitter, which is totally awesome, that Baghdad would see full control of all full control of all airports, land crossings, and oil revenues under the Kurdistan regional government by Friday, threatening to seize them if Erbil does not comply with the order. The move is response to the Kurds' overwhelming yes vote to succeed from Iraq on Monday in a referendum the Iraqi government asserts is illegal. Now, remember that the Kurds have kind of aligned themselves with the Christians, and so I see this as a really good thing, because you have the Muslims are fighting Muslims, and the Muslims hate the Kurds, and the Muslims hate Christians, and everybody's just, I mean, so the Kurds have kind of banded together with the Christians there and things like that, and I find it laudable. This says nations with significant Kurdish populations like Iran and Turkey have come out in support of Baghdad, while Israel stands as Kurdistan's lone neighbor supporting their campaign for sovereignty. And to this, my heart cheers. I say, go Israel. This is the right move, I believe. The KRG is located in the nation's north, and its military, the Peshmerga, have played a key role in combating the Islamic State. We had a friend of ours, we talk about our Chinese friend, Chi. He was there as a reporter for the Kurds there. We will not compromise on Iraq's unity and sovereignty. Iraq is strong. Some wanted to weaken it. They have miscalculated. Abadi said oil revenues, and it's over oil and land and things like that. And in 3 days, all land and air border crossings in Iraqi Kurdistan must be returned to federal jurisdiction. I don't know. I see this as something good. The State Department has said that it's a bad move, and so the State Department says it's a bad move. I think it's a good move.
So let me give a couple of comments from the comment section.
Awesome.
Let's see. Otto says that Kurdistan shouldn't be its own nation. He said Kurdistan as its own nation will cause even more wars, which is probably true because it is going to create more division. Skyman says the UN don't want Kurdistan to be on its own. Yes, it means we all should say yes. Let's see. Apple Marks once vid says, I think the Kurds have been excellent allies to the U.S. And then Otto says, again, remember there's Iraqi Kurds, Turkish Kurds, and Syrian Kurds. That's where ISIS operates from. Let's see. Splitting Iraq into 3 parts is an ancient plan for takeover in the Middle East. Again, that's from Otto. So I wanted to throw a couple of differing opinions out there so that you guys can make up your own. Let's see. Kate says Kurdistan is not about religion. It is purely political and a way for the U.S. to invade, dominate, and take over the region for their resources and oil.
So it's just another one of these bloody things, and maybe we should just let them do their thing.
Exactly.
Let them do their thing, man. Can we be done?
But I do have to agree, and Gary does as well, that if the UN... You know what I mean? If they're supporting something, then you do have to kind of question.
Sometimes when you don't know what to do, you see what your enemy is doing and you do the opposite thing.
Right.
And, here's the thing, the Middle East is just, they don't have natural resources. Iraq used to be a once flourishing, green.
All they have is oil.
And so they don't have anything. And the Middle East is, before oil reservoirs and selling the millions of dollars and things like that, then they didn't really have anything. And it's a really sticky, oily situation. And Ron Paul was on Alex Jones, and he said, get out of everywhere. Just leave everywhere.
Right.
If we need to defend ourselves, then we can defend ourselves.
Right.
And if we want to give people hope, if we want to give people, information, that's one thing. But sometimes you just have to let nations rise and fall on their own. You've got Catalonia trying to separate from Spain.
And Spain actually deployed troops to stop these people from voting. And Catalina, or is it Catalonia? Catalonia, they said that we're still going to have this vote. I have not had time, and forgive me for following up on that.
I don't really have a lot to say. All I know is I saw a bunch of Antifa signs on the Catalonia side. So I'm guessing it's a George Soros funded thing.
Okay.
So I don't know. These are things that are above my pay grade. Somebody's pushing some buttons and some chess pieces across the board, you know. So
right. All wars are bankers' wars, and so whenever we see some sort of big shift, a big move, we have to stop and question what is going on. What is the motivation behind this? There has to be some underlying thing that is going on here that we're missing.
Right. One more thing. This is kind of an interesting story I want to throw out to you guys on the A1 brothers. The House Dems have claimed that the massive data that's been taken off of the congressional server was child's homework. I'm not even kidding you. Democratic congressional aides made unauthorized access to the House server 5,400
times
and funneled massive amounts of data off of it. But there's nothing to see here, says Democrats told the Washington Post. They were just storing and then re-downloading homework assignments for Imran Aaron's elementary school kids and family pictures. Now,
oh my gosh.
Stay with me here because this gets better.
It's embarrassing.
The congressional source with direct knowledge of the incident contradicted the Post account, saying the now indicted IT aide Imran Awan and his associates were moving terabytes off-site so they could, quote, work on the files, and that they desperately tried to hide what was on the server when caught, providing police with what law enforcement immediately recognized as falsified evidence and an indication of criminal intent. Now, the Post described the massive amount of data improperly flowing out of the congressional network as massive. One congressional source told Circuit it was terabytes. A terabyte is 1,000,000 megabytes. A terabyte is about a terabit is about one tenth of that. A1's 3 children are in elementary school. A book report in Word document format could clock in at under a megabyte, even if it were 100 pages. To fill a terabyte with family photos, a person would need 250,000 photos. Rules aside, there would be little reason for a staffer to upload his children's homework and family photos to a congressman's server.
Duh.
For one, there's cloud services, Google Drive, Google Photos, and things like that. So why would they put them on the congressional server? His wife would have uploaded thousands of pictures. Yet she only accessed the server 300 times. It was accessed by A1's brothers and his friend Rao Abbas 5,400 times. So were they just moving kids' homework and pictures?
Probably. You know what, though? I mean, none of this would be an issue if kids' homework was actually on paper like it used to be.
Yeah. So I wanted to put that on there. Debbie Washburn Schultz, she used a Dropbox she wasn't supposed to, and she obviously kept A1 on for a while. So I wanted to toss that out to you guys. And I think last story of the day, very cool to me.
Stop it.
If we have anybody from Poland, get ready for this. 1 million Christians to pray the rosary on Poland's border, commemorating historical defeat of Islam. And by the way, this picture here with this sweater, I need that sweater. It's so cool.
Is that even a sweater? I don't even know what that is. It's
yeah,
like a weird jacket of sorts.
It's a sweater jacket.
It's not knitted. It's completely different.
Anyways,
fabric.
I like
I'm telling you, it's not a sweater.
Okay, so Poland's bishops have urged the nation's Catholics to join a massive rosary prayer crusade along the country's 2,000-mile border to pray for the salvation of their country. Organizers say they expect up to 1 million people to participate in the Rosary on the Borders event on October 7th, the anniversary of the Battle of Lepanto, where the Christian fleet overcame the Muslim Armada, saving Europe from Islamation. The Catholic Feast of the Holy Rosary was established by Pope Pius V in 1571 as Our Lady of Victory after the so-called Holy League won a landmark victory over the Ottoman Turks at the Battle of Lepanto. October 7th, 1571, a fleet of ships assembled by a coalition of Christian nations fought an intense battle against the forces of the invading Ottoman Empire. The unexpected victory of the so-called Holy League radically curbed efforts by the Ottoman Turks to control the Mediterranean, causing a seismic shift. That's our dog, Jasper, by the way. Sydney used to be the one.
Somebody left a comment the other day. Why is Michelle always saying stop it? Is she saying that to Leah? Stop it!
Jasper is our husky, and she used to be the good one while we filmed, and now Sydney's been the good one, and Jasper's been the bad one. She'll have to go potty. She wants a treat. I mean, this goes on the whole time. But that's what Michelle's doing when she's... Sometimes she helps Sydney get
I'm
up
not
the
just
stairs.
quietly whispering to Leah like,
I would
stop
go
it.
do it, but I have this
Stop
support
it, Leah.
here.
Stop it.
Okay, so anyways, if you go pray. They want to pray for their salvation of Poland. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's really exciting. All right, so I want to open up some time to have some questions, some real questions here. But before I do, Maya had asked a question that I thought would be fun to answer. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Maya, I think you are a younger person in your teens. I think that you are. And she says, how do you red pill somebody who is 16 that Black Lives Matter is wrong? And so I've been mulling over this question since you put it up there. And one of the things that we always, obviously, I'm going to guess you don't have control over whether this person is homeschooled or not. That's answer number one. But answer number two is not to actually go after the Black Lives Matter issue, because that's where they're going to be completely defensive. Once you can open up somebody's mind to the deep state, and then you can open up their minds to the agenda, start with the Federal Reserve. And I'm not kidding. If you can take somebody back to the Creature of Jekyll Isle and what happened back then when they switched over our monetary system to a fiat currency system, and you can see how there has been this agenda to brainwash and control an entire nation, going back to the compulsory school system and things like that. And you can point out throughout history where these people have gone in. If you want to, I'm going to get to a letter here in a minute, talk about JFK and how he was getting ready to expose the deep state, and then he mysteriously gets killed. You know, things like that. So once you can get somebody to understand the powers that be and who they are, then you can introduce the fact that they control Black Lives Matter.
So I would, I think you're talking about a general red pilling, in that you can.
And she is homeschooled. That's what she said.
Put in YouTube, Federal Reserve. You're gonna get a lot.
Mid-20s, Maya is. Thank you.
You're gonna get
still young.
You're gonna get a lot of put in your little search bar.
Sydney, stop.
Federal Reserve and things like that. You get Creature Jekyll Isle. You're gonna get a lot of really cool documentaries. That's what we kind of learned on. But I would take that and I would say yes with what Michelle said. But at the same time, I think that one of the better ways to red pill somebody on the Black Lives Matter, again, is YouTube. And you can find, I think, sometimes it takes a black person to say it, and there are so many black people out there who speak the truth on Black Lives Matter.
Right.
And
what's actually going on inside of it and who they are.
Exactly. And you can also Google like I did the other day to get some video footage, Black Lives Matter terrorists, and you're gonna get videos that show people saying pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. You're gonna see thugs running around, stopping cars, the fact
that they use violence, and hatred to get their point across. These people, literally, not all of them, because we got a chance to show that pastor at the Mother of All rallies.
The majority of the Black Lives
Matter,
Matter,
they are very hateful. They're very racist, and it doesn't matter who you are. If you're a good person, if you're white, they hate you.
Right.
And if you voted for Donald Trump, they hate you. And so to me, we just have to. Oh, Sydney just knocked the camera. We just have to. You judge a tree by its fruit. And so if she's homeschooled, I'm going to guess she has some sort of religious background, maybe not, but she should be able to understand that there are innate human goodness in all of us, and it's not found amongst the Black Lives Matter people. I'm going to fix the camera.
Yeah. So if my main thing with the Black Lives Matter is if they really care about Black lives, and Black lives really matter to them, then why are 50% of black babies aborted?
Right.
If black lives, like literal lives, mattered, then why do we hear in Chicago 26 were killed this weekend, 25 were killed this weekend? I think there's been over 2,000 black on black crime. The black on black crime. I think that one of the best one was that Rubin report. We showed it to you guys the other day. I can't remember who the guy was, but maybe I'll try to find it. There's a, I want to say, I forget his name, but the Rubin report had on a guy who talked about this kind of issue, and he made some really awesome points, and he talked about that. He talked about if black people cared about black people, they would encourage marriage and fathers and strong homes and people, in my opinion, working on farms. And so I don't see the black people caring about black people. I see them hating cops.
Right.
So what they need to rename themselves as is I Hate Cop Group. They're not a Black Lives Matter group.
Right.
They're I Hate Cops. I think the systemic white racism, everybody's born racist, white people, and they are actually, and it's embarrassing to think this, white people created the term white supremacy. White people are pushing the race narrative, and unfortunately, because black people have been treated badly, because we have gone through a civil rights movement, because we have had slavery, you have this victimhood, and victimhood doesn't lead you anywhere. One of my favorite guys, you know what, if she's a young lady, I would ask her to go to this guy. He is 15 years old, little boy. I'm sorry, he's a boy. He's a little boy in my mind, but
he's a young man in a grown man, or he's a grown man in a young man's body. Got it.
This young man, I want him to be president one day. I have never
He wants to be president someday.
I have never heard anybody at 15 years old, and he's not, literally, he's been on, he was with Paul Justin Watson on InfoWars the other day. He is not speaking from a script. Most kids are speaking from a script from their parents. Yep. This comes from his innermost being. He reminds me of the founding fathers.
The NFL?
Yeah.
I have something to say in regards to Donald Trump's recent comments going after Colin Kaepernick, Stephen Curry, and well now LeBron James. The fact of the matter is that I've got to make clear that all these people are a bunch of bums, not because they're not talented, not because they're not athletic, because I think it's clear that they are. Colin Kaepernick, to a lesser extent, he's not employed for a reason. It's because he's not very good statistically, but the other ones, they're great. They're great players, right? The thing is that I respect people who love America a lot more than I respect people who can dribble a ball and throw a ball than anything really else. That's what matters to me as an American. I admire people who love our country, who love our nation, and are respectful of the sacrifices of those who have died fighting for our nation, who have shed their blood in pursuit of the idea of liberty, the pursuit of happiness and freedom. I respect people who respect those people, the people who have made the ultimate sacrifice in pursuit of America and furthering America. I respect those people. So when Donald Trump attacks Colin Kaepernick and Stephen Curry and all of those sorts of people for disrespecting our country, I'm right there with him. And I've got to tell you, it's not a race thing, it's an American thing. It's about loving America, that you don't want to see anyone disrespecting our country. You don't want to see anyone disrespecting our nation because they have no reason to do so. This is an amazing country that deserves every ounce of respect that is available, and for Colin Kaepernick and Stephen Curry to go out here and disrespect the sacrifices that, again, people have died to defend our nation's prominence as a shining city on the hill, then yeah, Donald Trump has every right to tell them that they are wrong, their grievances are misplaced, and that they need to shut up and sit down and stay in their lane. If they want to dribble a ball, go ahead. If they want to, run down a field and make a few tackles, then go right ahead. But when it comes to disrespecting this country, we will not have it. It's not about race. It's not about the fact that these players are black. It's about the fact that they are disrespecting America. That's the problem that I have. It's the problem that President Trump has. It's the problem that every American who loves this country has with all three of these men.
So we covered this earlier.
I love this young man. I love him.
I want to hit a couple of points that we didn't actually cover.
So if you want to, if a 16-year-old wants to be red pilled on Black Lives Matter, have him just go through C.J. Pearson's Twitter feed and just watch his videos. He is amazing.
They're gone now.
Shoot, we lost everybody.
No, my thoughts.
Oh, sorry.
They were right there, and I was like, I knew it.
I'm
I was like,
sorry.
if she doesn't let me get this thought out, it's going to vanish. That's all right. It doesn't really matter. But we did cover this earlier. If you guys want to go back and watch it when we went live earlier this afternoon, please do so, because we covered this topic. These people are allowed to express their rights. Oh, I remember one of them, and that is that somebody had said yesterday, or whatever day we went live last, it wasn't yesterday.
I'm going to tweet this out. This is awful.
That there is an NFL rule book, and in that rule book you are required
There's so many rules
to stand and pledge allegiance to the flag for the national anthem. And so, while everybody does have a right to peacefully protest, and that's essentially what they're doing, and so a lot of people are like, oh, I'm backing and supporting them if they want to do that. Well, guess what? You signed a contract that said that you would do this thing. And so if you lose your job because of it, that's your fault. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, what are you smiling about?
I'm just smiling going
Like
through his feed.
cat that ate the canary here.
He gets horrible tweets. He gets death threats. He's 15 years old. I can't even read this one. Better kill yourself.
Oh, no, don't read that. Don't give somebody a
self-hating
platform for that.
waste
That's
of
awful.
melanated. Your parents hate you on the low. Just thought you should know. He gets really, really bad. So he gets really bad tweets from Black Lives Matter people.
I know that Michael Thomas had said a little bit ago, and I can't find your comment here, but he was saying that before the black people started voting for the Democrats in the 60s, they had families. They had a huge, their statistics for actually having families was really kind of on par with white families. So it's really sad that it's been lost.
Well, and
since.
there are lots of reasons to that. Most of it is because in the 30s, black people did not want to vote for Democrats because Republicans were the party of Lincoln. But FDR came around and started to offer free things. And unfortunately, free things go a long way. And one of the free things they started offering was welfare, but only if you were a single mother.
Right.
And so a lot of women, especially, unfortunately, black women who were in, in a poverty, bracket, they would forego getting married. And psychologically, what that does to a child.
Right.
It messes them up. I mean, most criminals are in prison because and they're fatherless. They can't read. So literacy and fatherhood go a long way to preventing crime. And so if you want to save black lives, get daddies to be daddies and teach people to read great works.
Make family great again.
Literature. Sit down and read great works.
So I want to get to a mail call here at the end, but before I do, I want to read a comment from Rob, because we get comments like this a lot, but it kind of seems like I don't know, self-promoting. But I think it's important for you guys to realize that a lot of people are supporting, and when they support Leah and I, they are supporting you. So Rob Jameson says, hi from Australia. Great channel, girls. Keep speaking the truth. You in the United States are on the front lines of this global fight, and I for one appreciate what you're doing. Close enough.
Close.
Close. Slipped at the end. So thank you, Rob, for that. And
she just
for the
wanted
greetings.
to bring out her Australian
I
accent.
actually didn't think about doing that until I started reading it. So one of our viewers, Bill, sent a lovely card in the mail. And so I want to read it to you. It says, I bought this card because it says what I want to tell you 3 times better than any other card. Thank you, thank you, thank you. On the back it says, oh, let us sing for joy to the Lord. Shout joyfully unto the rock. Let us come before him with thanksgiving. Shout joyfully to him with song, for the Lord is great and a great king above all the earth. Every time your name comes up in my prayers, I say, oh, thank you, Lord. Philemon 1:4. So I'm going to read, Philemon, however you want to say it. this note from Bill. It's absolutely fantastic. He says, "Hey ladies, I thank God daily for your labors in the fight to educate Americans in awakening out of their de-educated slumber and to recognize the very serious danger that we are all in today. I also pray that the Lord will keep you and your family safe. I was in high school when John Kennedy was murdered and immediately recognized the single gunman story was a lie and became very suspicious about everyone in government and the MSM were continually pounding on that one excuse. After high school, I served in the Air Force in Vietnam. Thank you, Bill, for your service. And following that, I worked as a campaign coordinator for Robert F. Kennedy. I met a number of people around both RFK and Dr. Martin Luther King and started awakening to the fact that something nefarious was indeed afoot within the government with global ties. Following both assassinations, I began acquiring all the information I could find out and met with several individuals throughout the country to learn from them. I began teaching to others in the mid-1970s. Back then, we didn't have the blessings of the internet. Why are you laughing?
I don't need to see the comments, and I watched a comment come up and Worth look, bam, just deleted it. It was just funny.
Our moderators are awesome. All right, so, but I do want to, this is a really cool point.
This is a really neat letter, actually.
Back then, now you know how it feels when you're reading the comments and you can't keep a straight face. It's awful when you're actually talking about like rape or something like that, and then you people making me laugh. Back then, we did not have the blessings of the internet, and we had to hold meetings to awaken people one by one. We were not labeled conspiracy nuts at the time, but rather lunatic fringe, and I think we all remember that. You're not going to look at the comments anymore. You keep laughing. Many of the leaders at that time were harassed and crushed by various government agencies, meaning the leaders of the group. What he's saying is he was part of laying the foundation for awakening people.
And I want to thank you for that, because a lot of the documentaries, a lot of the research were done by men like you that we have gleaned from. So.
Exactly, but he was saying that these leaders were crushed by the various government agencies. He says, I thank God to see that all of our labors were not in vain, and it is growing stronger. I also thank God for Donald J. Trump, and I believe that he is fulfilling the deadly head wound to the beast, global government, as in Revelations 13. I really enjoy watching you two, and also Diamond and Silk. You are all very passionate and animated. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit you in the face. I was just pointing at you being the animated one. And informing the public. I am very fond of watching you two because you are so down to earth. Leah's using various foreign dialects.
Most of the time we're covered in earth.
Yeah, in reporting stories really gives me a chuckle. One last short story, and this is really fascinating,
cool.
to pass on to you, and I'm adding to your viewers. My late father-in-law, John, I'm not going to give his last name, was a division commander during World War II, and in the autumn of 1944, he was ordered to race across Germany and to, quote, seize and hold the IG Farben headquarters.
What? How many? The IG Farben headquarters.
He moved his full artillery division to that location, even passing through a battalion of Germans who were having a, I think it says med. That one, when I read it the first time, I couldn't read that word. But it said, he said that they sat there stunned, and even the officers saluted as he passed through. That's amazing to me. When he arrived at IG Farben, which he expected to be in ruins because of the non-stop carpet bombing for the previous 2 years, he was amazed that the 200-acre complex, that's massive.
Michael Thomas has images of his grandfather in Germany in World War II.
What? That's awesome. Was untouched. Not even a bullet hole was found. He held the location until the war ended. Anyway, you all stay healthy and safe. You are in my prayers constantly. God bless you. In closing, a small donation. I hope it is somewhat helpful. Yours in Christ,
Which
Bill
is
Burnett.
interesting because the
P.S. I love your singing.
Yeah, the singing. What's interesting is that Michelle made another purchase for a webcam. Hopefully what we're going to do today, we're going to get this webcam thing set up so that we can go live through the computer and get up like a different picture, maybe put in our beginning. That'd be cool, like our Resistance Chicks beginning. Remember that one? It's not just a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I don't even know if half of our viewers are still around. I know our moderators are, but I'm hoping that Bill doesn't mind. I'm thinking he wouldn't have sent this if I couldn't show it, but he did send a picture. I'm assuming, here it is. Here's a picture of me with my granddaughter, Sophia. Is that not absolutely adorable? So we want to thank you, Bill, for the letter and your donation.
Great story.
The story, I mean, absolutely fantastic. This is exactly, not the donation, but the stories, exactly why we wanted to go ahead and give you guys the address for the P.O. box. But I want to hit one more time. I literally made this a leap of faith purchase for an $83 webcam today. So that we had tried to buy that cord. Remember the last donation that we had was like $20, and then we're not going to be able to use that cord. I'm going to have to take it back. So I still have that. Combined with this, we're going to be able to almost cover the webcam. And so it was kind of like every time we take a leap of faith to do something, then God provides. So if we get donations, which please do not send them. I'm not saying that you can't, but we're not asking for them. We aren't doing this for money. So my point is, every single time one comes in, we're going to use it for something to further what we do here for Resistance
have
Chicks.
not set up a Patreon account. We don't want donations. We're not asking for them. We want to just, because quite frankly, once you start to take, then you feel beholden and things go weird. Like, I watch the people who, unfortunately, they become beholden to the people.
Well,
and
that's
then,
not even it, though. They kind of tend to get big heads, and then you get reliant upon it, and it just all gets kind of squirrely.
So it's better if it's, like, voluntary
right.
for us.
It is better if it's voluntary. If you do want to send a donation, I'm just saying right now, we're going to use it towards the channel. Lee and I are not pocketing any of this money. It is going to go towards something that we can use to better
should we buy some burkas maybe instead of using sheets?
Yes,
that might be something. You know, we're thinking about maybe setting up a permanent place in our basement.
We would like to do that because
what you don't realize is we have like a really dark living room.
Yeah, we have. Here, I can show you.
You're gonna show them the
light.
light.
I'm gonna show them the light. Here, this is one that has fallen over in the past. I'm waiting to see if it shows up on the thing. It's got like an umbrella on it and everything fancy, like it's on a tripod.
And it's just so that you can see us because
otherwise
it's so dark
it's just
in here.
Well, you can see I just shaded you. It is incredible. So this is one of the purchases that we made, and that was out of our own pocket, I think, for our channel. Because it's just a big deal. So we pull this big desk out here in the center. It's like, it literally takes us about 10 minutes
and then
to
we
get
put everything back.
So
we're
would
gonna
like
we
have
have a little spot in the basement that we could use, but we don't have the TV down there.
So at some point we're gonna make that happen, but that's in the future. So, all right. So I don't see any other comments or questions or anything like that that we need to. Oh, Will says JFK appears. Okay. Oh, that's right. I remember what. Okay. So the papers, all of the classified documents on the JFK shooting, the statute of limitations for that is getting ready to expire.
About that. And then somehow they were lost again. How is that? What is that?
Trump is getting ready to, or he has said that he may release it. He said Bush Sr. handled the George Day Morshilt, who handled Oswald, and he had Poppy in his address book and was Bush Sr. Skull and Bones code name. So here's the thing. Even if these classified documents come out, I can guarantee you that anything that is worth anything is already going to have been destroyed.
Yeah, sorry,
So don't get excited about it, guys, because it's just not, it's not going to be, I would love for it to be something awesome, but it's just not. And you know what? I would venture to say that there's going to be disinformation that's put in there. And so something will come out, and then all of a sudden we have proof that there really was a magic bullet. I mean, really? Come on. So you can't really believe anything that comes out as some sort of classified document. All right, I think we're done.
Yeah, we're done.
I don't think we have a song ready.
No. Sorry. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Yeah.
What about there is power? Have we sung that one?
Yeah. Did we have one? Yeah.
Now we have silence.
Ah! Okay, well, please like, comment, and subscribe to Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks. Find us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter.
So our P.O. Box is
107.
Milford, Ohio 45150. I was going to hold it up, but I don't even know if you can read that from here. All right. Let the redeemed say so. Oh, we have to practice that one.
Let the redeemed of the Lord say so.
No.
Wait,
no.
gosh.
Mm-mm.
We've been out of church for a long time.
We have church here. We just sing our own stuff.
We could sing, we could do Awesome God. We know that one. You want to sing Awesome God?
We maybe pull up the lyrics for that. We haven't done that one already.
No, I don't think
we have not done that song on Resistance Chicks.
I don't think so.
Are you sure?
I don't know.
Okay.
What is this? This is not Awesome God. Where's the lyrics?
How about Our God is an Awesome God? Thank you guys for being with us. I think almost every single one of our moderators showed up tonight. Gary, Will, John Petter, Heather was here at the beginning. I know I saw Amber in there, Worth a Look, aka Justin. I think almost all of you were here tonight.
Wow,
so
awesome.
Stacy was not.
Awesome.
I think she's the only one that wasn't
Stacey.
here.
Okay.
All right. Now, do we need to start in some sort of low thing so
No,
we don't go too
I don't
high
think
or anything
so.
on this?
When he rolls up his sleeves, he ain't just putting on the Ritz.
Our God is an awesome God.
There's thunder in his footsteps and
lightning in his fists. Our God is an awesome God.
And the Lord wasn't joking when he kicked him out of Eden. It wasn't for no reason that he shed his blood. His return is very close, and so you better be believing that our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. And when the sky was starless in the void of the night,
Our God is an awesome God.
he spoke into the darkness and created the light.
Our God is an awesome God.
Judgment and wrath he poured out on Sodom. Mercy and grace he gave us at the cross.
I hope that you have not too quickly forgotten
That our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns
from heaven above
with
wisdom, power, and
love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God
is an awesome
God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God.
Is that all the?
Yeah,
That's all the verses?
Yep.
Oh, we went through all that.
There was we didn't do the hand motion.
Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God.
Church camp. Church camp. Y'all.
Oh my gosh, it's been a long time. That's really funny. That was really, really fun. Thank you, Bill, for your donation and your card, but mostly thank you for your story. That was very, very informative.
The connection there with IG Farben just blew me away. Couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So thank you all for being here, especially those of you that are still up late
How
at
about
night.
Ave Maria?
Who said
Yeah.
that? Somebody said that?
Sure.
You guys know how that's like Jerusalem. Like really high. No. And besides,
Can you imagine it's already tomorrow in Poland?
Yeah.
Happy tomorrow, Poland.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Like the moderators. Moderators are awesome. Thank you,
Our
guys.
moderators are awesome. We have the best moderators in town. And you know what? We have the best channel in town. And I don't mean Leah and I mean our comment section. You guys have been on other live chats. And
you guys are so fun.
it is like divisive and mean and hateful. And that's kind of why I appreciate the fact that our channel is still small. Because we don't really have very many trolls. And we don't have people that are just really just hateful and mean. So thank you guys for...
Yeah, you
being
guys are like
so
this
awesome
fun
in the
little
comment section.
Family.
Don't forget to leave comments. If I missed it and it was pertinent, I know I say this every
and you
single
want
time.
us to read it.
Put it in the comment section after the video processes. Because then we'll get to see it.
Usually the right away ones. Unfortunately, like the next day, I look at the comments, but like the next day, then I don't go back to the other videos. So
I go back and look at them.
I try.
It's fine.
Okay, guys.
All right, we're
See you
signing
tomorrow.
off. Our God is an awesome God. He